Jon Morosi, you have done some great long-form stuff at this network. That was outstanding. That was a terrific piece on Fernando Valenzuela, who's one of the 8 names on the contemporary era ballot. We'll learn who gets in Sunday live, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on MLB Network. And JP joins us. JP, that was an A+, man. I mean, honestly, that was such a wonderful piece on Fernando. You captured everything that we've been saying and trying to articulate, not as well as you did in that 5-minute piece for the last few weeks, that from a cultural significance standpoint, you cannot overestimate what Fernando was to the Dodgers, to Los Angeles, to Major League Baseball, for all the reasons you lay out in the piece. Here's the question I have for you. Do you think he gets in this vote Sunday?
Matt and Yonder, first of all, good morning. Thanks for the kind words. Credit to Jed Tuminaro, our great feature group, for putting that together. What I would say in terms of the chances are this. They're real. It's probably an uphill climb because the overall, the win total is maybe a little bit below what you would typically see from players of that era. The ERA may be a little higher, but again, take a look at this. The ERA in the 1980s, 3.19. 102 complete games. I'll say it again. 102 complete games in one decade. I'm thrilled, Matt and Yonder, that Fernando is getting his due by being on the ballot. I think that history, and it's not just the cultural part, which we'll get to in a minute, but just the numbers that he put up, when you look at them with a generation or so of remove, they're better than I think the people realized in the time because of how challenging it is to put together that kind of workload and that excellence as well. And look at just what he did, that phenomenon of 1981. Matt and Yonder, for me, it is still the Hall of Fame. We are talking here about one of the most famous people to ever play the game. And when you look at the way Major League Baseball is today, how multicultural it is. The reigning champions back-to-back, the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers and Major League Baseball writ large are not today what they are without Fernando Valenzuela.
JP, buenos dias. I really wanted to ask you more about that because I think, do you think he was one of those first when it came to international baseball where another country really took on a team and said, okay, we're gonna go in on this player, Valenzuela obviously being so great, but also just in all of the team?
Mm-hmm. You're right, Yonder. And I think that the uniqueness of Los Angeles, okay, second biggest city in our country, one of the largest Latino populations of any city in our country, specifically Mexican Americans. And we talked about it in the piece to where that part of town, of course, Mexican American residents had been displaced to build the ballpark. So it was a very complicated relationship for a very, very long time, and to some degree it still is. But Fernando is a representative of healing. He's a representative of cultural belonging and connection. And so it's almost like there are very few people in the history of the game who could ever mean as much to one particular team as Fernando did and still does to the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's just a singular figure in the history of the sport. And I think you're right, Yonder. He is the first major Mexican star in Major League Baseball. And the Dodgers, just by virtue of the way they've run their organization for a very, very long time, beginning, of course, with Jackie Robinson, they have had a lot of great firsts. Nomo is a great first. Chano Park is a great first. They have been leaders in this regard. And I think Fernando, the enduring number 34 there at that ballpark, is very, very special. And the Dodgers are rightly proud of what an amazing part of the organization Fernando has always been.
It's amazing that the first Mexican-born superstar in Major League Baseball is still the biggest some many years later. And it's very difficult to advocate for somebody posthumously as a Hall of Famer, right? Because that person's camp is no longer around to really pound the table and say, man, guy's got to get in. And he can't do the media rounds for himself anymore. But I firmly believe he needs to be in the building. That said, and we're running out of time into JP, who gets in from this year's ballot? Who has the best chance at getting into Cooperstown?
My projection, and this is, I'll be clear, nothing more than an educated guess, but I believe that Murphy and Mattingly may have the best chances. Looking at the people who are on the committee, their contemporaries in the 1980s, guys who played against them, I think Murphy, we talk a lot about the peak and what he did with the back-to-back MVPs, the early 1980s. He was as great of a player in that era, that very narrow time in the first part of that decade, as almost anybody else in the game. And then Mattingly, again, an icon of the most famous franchise in our sport. And again, someone that when you look at his overall career trajectory, he could have assembled more numbers. He could have played a little bit longer. Obviously, the back injury was a major part of that. But for both of these people, I want to make this point, Matt and Yonder, we need to start using the character clause for the good. Two outstanding gentlemen that have always represented the game so well. I think both will be very worthy to be up there on the dais in Cooperstown.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you as far as who leads the sentiment to get in on this vote, but it's a fascinating ballot. I think Fernando should be in there. We can make a case for all 8, as we have all week. JP, we appreciate it. Great work on that Valenzuela piece. That was wonderful to watch, and we'll see you in Orlando.
Can't wait, guys. All the best. Thank you so much.